I think we are on live now.
Okay, very good.
Well, hi to everybody. Hi to everybody on Facebook. We are very pleased and grateful today to announce our attendee. He is Dungse Jampal Norbu, and he's now currently in Colorado, in USA, and he has a very um, collaborative attitude to say yes to this talk, and even with the difference of time. And I would like to present Jampal. He is a Buddhist teacher, first of all. He belongs to the Vajrayana wheel of the Dharma, and he is the son of Kongtrul Rinpoche and Elizabeth Namgyel, who both live as well in USA. And what Jampal does, is currently being a Buddhist teacher, spreading the buddhadharma towards the world. I would like to say hi, everybody, to Jampal. Thank you, Jampal, for being here. And I would like you to start talking with me about, well, I think this conversation is free, it's like kind of fresh and directed to mainly to Spanish people and younger generations.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, to all the people first, I should apologize because I'm a little bit sick. So that's why I'm coughing and sneezing. But, well, I would like to start, Jampal, with the name of this talk, that is The Path of Love, the Path of a Warrior. And it looks like life is like a path. And I would like to know, what's the life for you? What's the meaning of life for you?
Oh, the meaning of life for me? Wow, that's a big question. I wonder how many hours do we have?
We have 1 hour.
Okay, 1 hour. 1 hour for the meaning of life. Okay. The meaning of life for me, or what brings meaning to my life, I feel is being engaged with Dharma practice and being part of my Dharma community and to spread the teachings of Dharma. And not because I am born into a Dharma family or because I have parents who are also Dharma practitioners or teachers, but because at a certain point in my life, I really wanted to know what I should be doing with my life. And I felt like I could do many different things. I didn't have anything I really, really wanted to do, but I felt I could do many different things. And I thought that no matter what I did, the best thing that I could learn how to do is how to meditate and work with my mind. And that would support me no matter what I chose to do. And I had my parents to talk to, so I said that I wanted to study. And then the more I studied, the more interested I became. And I felt that this is what brings a lot of joy to my life. This is what makes my life meaningful, to help others, to engage in this kind of service and this work. And to do that in an ongoing way, I don't feel like I could really do better in my life as far as being meaningful and living a good, happy life. So this is what the meaning of life really is for me, to become happier by serving others, and to become happier by working with my mind and developing that practice.
Yes. And how, well, maybe it's my perception, and as well as my experience, that in that search of happiness, sometimes we get lost. And sometimes we are looking for more tools because there is one part of life probably that we are not aware of anything. We are just living,
Yeah.
enjoying life, and maybe
Yeah.
our 20s, I don't know, but for me it was like 20s, late until later 20s maybe. And then I realized that there was things that I was suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to build a new version of
Mm.
me, something like that, and start doing things in order to build a new, better person. But even with this intention, that is a good intention, I get lost sometimes because it's like the search and start looking, and
Right.
the word of insatisfaction without never being happy with what I have, with what I
Mm.
am. What do you think are the clues to? I don't know if there are clues, but what do you think about this sensation, this feeling of being inadequate at first, and then
Mm-hmm.
start looking, but get lost because of the looking, because of the search of happiness?
Yeah. Well, I like the question. I think there are clues. I like that. I think there are clues uh, to happiness, and it's clues because everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to like live a happy life, but we all go about it in different ways. We're all trying to do different things, right? And some of us feel happy, and some of us don't feel happy, and some of us do the same thing and are happy or not happy. So, like some of us go out into nature and be in the trees and stuff, and really happy. And some of us go out into nature and then we have bad allergies, and it's yeah, it's not fun, and we're not happy. So, being out in nature is not really the cause of happiness. It's not where happiness comes from. Some of us like nice food, and some of us get sick from rich food, and so they don't find happiness in the food. Some of us maybe look for money and like happiness with money, but then some of us find a lot of suffering with money, is like more problems, more difficulties with money. So it's not in the money. So happiness is not outside of ourselves, because different people have different experiences with these things. So you can't say that happiness really only exists in these things. So this is kind of a clue that happiness is not outside of us. So happiness, it has to be inside of us if it's not outside of us. And I think I like what you said about being yourself. A big part of looking for happiness inside is that we try to find out who we are. And like once I find out who I am, then I can be happy. Then I can be confident and comfortable, and like no stress, no worries about what other people think. Like I'll just be totally me. But then we're not always the same. Sometimes we're excited, sometimes we're not excited, sometimes we're healthy, sometimes we have allergies or the flu, sometimes we're big, sometimes we're thin, sometimes we're good looking, sometimes we wake up and we don't look so great. And so we're always changing. So when we're always changing, it's hard to say, this is me, because it's changing. I am only one way. So I like to say that finding oneself is maybe too hard, because it's always changing. So don't try to be yourself, maybe, but try to be who you are, like at that time, as naturally as you can be. Just be who you are. You don't need to be yourself. Because if you think you know what yourself is and then you're not yourself, then it's painful. But if you are who you are, and you can relax in that, and you can relax in your own mind, then there's a lot more potential for joy, a lot more potential for happiness. I mean, I'm changing all the time, and if I always try to be one way, it's so stressful for me. So I try to just relax and be who I am at that time. Maybe not so like angry or neurotic or upset, but just trying to relax. It's the bad feelings, the negative emotions come up when there's conflict, trying to be something else, or feeling that this isn't good. That's where a lot of the conflict is, holding on to an idea of self instead of being relaxed or being kind and compassionate to other people. So when we can relax and be kind and not worry too much about self, then there's more happiness.
I think that you mentioned two things that are really, really important, because that's that idea of selflessness and relaxation. I think they are like very precious diamonds that we don't see.
Yeah.
And especially in Buddhism, because this is a question that comes up where we're talking. When I was not a Buddhist, I was thinking, oh yeah, the Buddhist just chill and meditate all day long, and just meditate. How can I use my anger to put boundaries? If I'm not feel angry, how can I say no to other people? You know, that conflict in my mind at that time, conflicting emotions were useful to say no, to move towards something that allows me to basically to say no to others.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to ask you about this conflict emotions. You say, yeah, conflict emotions, they are not allowing us to be who we are. But how can we use, and this is directed towards people that are not into the buddhadharma, how to use these conflicting emotions in a way we can use in a good way, and to have a healthier and happier life.
Well, I think with conflicting emotions, that's always a little painful. So it's hard to say that a conflicting emotion will lead us to a good life. But conflicting emotions are something which we can practice with. It's something we can develop self-reflection with. And because happiness is not outside of us, it's inside of us, there has to be some self-reflection or developing self-reflection in order to see what's going on. We have our eyes to see outside, but self-reflection is like our eyes to see inside. And we have to take care of those eyes to be able to look inside and say, okay, where is the conflict? Where is the feelings, the emotions? What do I actually feel? Not because sometimes we are so busy, we don't even know how we feel. It's just go, 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 go. Like, don't think about it at all. So self-reflection kind of shows us what's going on inside. And that's a way to be intelligent about how we feel. Like, if we're too tired and we need to set some boundaries, we know, okay, this is a time to set some boundaries and say, I need some space. This is a time when I look inside and I say, I'm a little tight about, my own well-being. I could loosen up. I'm not being a good friend here. I can choose to think of my friends, because I'm a little too self-concerned right now. I mean, it's the self-reflection that shows us how our mind is, and then we can decide what we want to do. And so in that way, conflict can be a good practice. Looking at conflict, self-reflecting on conflict can be a good practice. And then we learn more about ourselves and our habits and what works in our mind and what doesn't work in our mind, and what brings happiness and what doesn't bring happiness. And all Buddhist practice has to come from some place of self-reflection. I think almost all spiritual traditions, any spiritual tradition, has to come from some kind of self-reflection. So that's an important point. That when conflict arises, we see it, and we're prepared to be open to that.
Yes, and well, I think it's like if I have the possibility to work with my conflict emotions, for instance, anger, but there should be, at least for me, a sense of relaxation into that conflict and in the conflict, in order to see clearly, more clearly, in order to have a better perspective of the conflict. And just yesterday, I was reading a book about how to relax from Thich Nhat Hanh.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my thoughts was, probably we don't know how to relax ourselves in a life that is plenty of stimulus and plenty of things to do. How to find relaxation when I have to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then going to the gym and then come back to house and study, and then I have friends, and then I have a girlfriend or boyfriend, with all my schedules. How to find relax, and maybe I have time for relax, but I don't know how to relax myself. I don't know what it's about relaxation in my mind. What is being relaxed?
Well, I think a part of being relaxed is also not being hard on yourself and what goes on in your mind, because maybe something like anger comes up, and then you see anger come up with self-reflection or however, and then like, oh no, anger came up. Like, this is not good. This is bad. I have anger, and that's kind of being hard on yourself. And when you're hard on yourself, it's just more stress. So when something like anger arises, to say, anger isn't me. Anger is not who I am. Anger is this thing that comes up and then it goes away. Sometimes it stays for a long time, but still it comes up and goes away. So anger is not me. And anger is just this thing that I am doing, or this thing which is happening to me. So I'm not going to be hard on myself that anger comes up. I'm not going to do something because I'm angry. I'm not going to do something bad or stupid because of the anger. But to be okay with emotions coming up, to be okay with thoughts that are coming up, and to say, this is not a problem. This is just a part of being alive. Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. Can you see me? Hi. Hi. Hi.
Hi. I think I got cut off there.
Hi again. Okay.
So I don't know where I got cut off, but thinking that anger does not control me. It's not who I am. And so if there's no conflict with what comes up in the mind, and But when things come up, not to have so much conflict with that, then that's relaxed. Then that's a way of relaxing the mind, to not be hard on oneself because of what's happening naturally. I think that's a big kind of relaxation for me.
Yeah, you're right. In some ways, to realize that we are not what we are feeling. We are not any of these feelings, but it's well, I think it's not easy, like, to realize in the moment of the conflict. It's not like maybe later, but in that moment it's like, oh, the anger is in me, and or my jealousy or my envy, and I feel so bad with myself because of my I'm so bad a bad person because I envy or I'm jealous about blah blah blah. Yeah, and well, it's difficult because as well as our society, at least in West, is highly determined by these patterns of being a good person or being a bad person. So I think it's more complicated. Uh, it's kind of being aware not only with the feelings I'm feeling or the emotions I'm, I'm feeling, as well as that all the things that I have in my mind are part of the conditions. They are a result, right? From all the conditions, all my the educational systems, my family, my country,
Yeah.
all the things. And one of the books um, of your father is about selflessness, and it's beautiful, but I think sometimes I get lost because in order to be who I am, it's kind of contradictory. Who I am, this is who I am, and then experience selflessness. No,
Okay.
so. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So the selflessness part is a little like what I talked about before, with the just being yourself or being who you are at that moment. Because selflessness is the whole process of finding selflessness is looking at who we think we are. Like I am a man. I have a name. I'm like this kind of personality. I'm an Asian. I'm Asian American. So I have this idea of who I am in my head. But like there are people who are more Asian than me. There are people who are more American than me. There are people who are more Asian American than me. Like I start seeing that my idea of myself is very relative to other people. Like I only have this opinion of myself because of other people and how I compare myself to other people. So because it's a comparison, because I only know who I am at that moment by comparing myself to other people, then it's relative. It's relative to them. It's relative to where I am. When I'm in Colorado right now, and mostly it's Caucasian Americans here. So I seem very Asian to those people. Then if I go to Asia, if I go to India or Nepal, then I'm very American compared to those people. So my own ideas about myself change depending on where I am. And it's because it's not fixed. And the more I feel like I should be American, I should be Asian, the more I feel like I don't know anymore because it's changing. And so I have to let go of the idea of self, let go of the idea of who I am. If I think I'm strong, I'm not as strong as this person, but I'm much stronger than this person. again, it's relative. So if I meet someone who's much stronger than me, then I might feel, oh no, I'm depressed. I'm not the strongest anymore. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I'm getting older. I'm not as healthy as I used to be. I'm not exercising as much. You know, all these ideas of who I am and how I'm losing myself because things are changing, then there's a lot of pain. But if I'm just relaxed with who I am right now and how it is right now, and in these conditions, in this time in my life, then I feel more settled. Like I am not one way. I'm not one way. And so if I'm not one way, there's no one self to hold on to. And you could say this is selflessness, or looking for selflessness. And it's actually a lot of freedom. And it doesn't mean that, you know, I don't think anything of myself, but I don't hold on so much to one way of being. So you know, if I'm in Asia, then I'm the American. I'm good with that. And if I'm in America and I'm going to be the Asian, I'm okay with that. And if I'm with like little kids and I'm the big one and the strong one, then I'm okay with that. If I'm with like friends or other people who are really strong and I'm maybe not the strongest one, I'm okay with that. So
Yeah, that's a beautiful message. Especially, I think we are caught up into the conceptions that maybe I can be as I told you, I can be who I am, but this is me, and this is and I want to be this forever. And how are you there to tell me this to me? That, you know, like this kind of conflicts. That's what I love about the Dharma, that there is a possibility to take something and then let it go. And even with the conception of myself, even with the meaning of me, independently of every situation, every person, every society, every all the thoughts around the world. But should be different things, I think, together in order to be relaxed, like selflessness. I can pronounce that word, selflessness. It's kind of difficult. Selflessness.
what would it be in Spanish?
It's like dejar de ser yo. It's more complex.
Okay.
Sí, sí, dejar de ser yo, algo así.
Yeah.
And selflessness, relaxation, being relaxed with the opinions of others, joy, and tender as well. I can feel it when you're talking. Oh, I'm good. I'm this person, but I'm this person. It's kind of tender attitude towards the others, towards me. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but it's not a problem. It's all good.
Yeah.
And joy and love as well, because I see, I can see myself in a way, but maybe maybe others can look at me in a different way because of their thoughts, their own history, and I appreciate your point of view. I disagree with that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of relaxed way of living.
I like a relaxed way of living.
I think that's a clue, but we don't know. Well, you have been a teacher since 19 years old, so, and all your life is embedded into buddhadharma since you were born. But for people that like me that go for a job and I don't like that job, I don't know. I don't like that job. I don't like photocopies, papers all day long. And then I should come back home, and then I should clean, study, and I don't like all. I would like to have more time for me. I don't know, but conflicting emotions always appearing. That sense of inadequacy. We are struggling with that every day. Like not probably not you, but
no, I have to. I can't say that I don't have those feelings. I sometimes do, and otherwise, why would I do this? Why would I practice? I did this because I didn't like what I was doing, and I thought that at least I should learn how to be happy while photocopying. Or I worked in a bookstore, so for a while, and I was just carrying books up and down stairs all day. So this, I mean, it was not bad work, but maybe not the most exciting work. But I have to learn how to at least be happy with myself, no matter what I do. And I am lucky that I teach, and I enjoy teaching. But I've had other jobs, and I don't think I would have done so well if I didn't have some meditation with me as well.
And especially because my perception as well is like in these times, it's like younger generations are not doing anymore what the society wants us to do. In some way, we are like rebels. Well, that's my perception. And we are, if my family wanted me to be a doctor, and then I studied, I don't know, medicine to be a physician, and then I went out of university and I said, okay, that's done, but now I want to be a model, I don't know, or a painter. Yep. And then I started my own journey. And then I discovered that the things that I thought that bring me happiness in the future, there is nothing that can make me happier in the future, or with the things I thought would bring me happiness. I'm talking especially because of me, because all my life, well, I studied pharmacy, and then I started a master's degree, and then I started like asking myself, this is not for me, maybe there is another thing that is for me. I started doing another things, and then I thought that happiness would be at that place, in the future, or another place. And then I arrived into that place, and I said like, no, it's not here neither. So where is that happiness? How everything has parts of joy and as well disgusting. I am happy and suffering. And even the things that I thought would bring me happiness have the suffering part as the other part of the coin. And even when I came here to New Zealand, with the business I had, I started cleaning in toilets, and I said, oh no, what I'm doing with my life. And started doing cleaning allowed me to think that it's just cleaning. It's just it's nothing in it. There is nothing on it. And the way how I relate with activity, the way how I relate with my discomfort in that activity, makes me aware that happiness is is nothing outside of me. It's the way I relate towards life.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, dharma must be personal. Meditation has to be personal. That's like a personal story, and you know, if it's just words in a book, then we don't really gain anything from it. So it has to be a part of our life, a part of how we look inside ourselves.
Yeah, and in some way, I read in some book, in some ways, how to relate with the suffering and how to make a good use of suffering.
Mhm.
Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you, I mean, every moment of suffering is an opportunity for self-reflection and to see through the suffering. The suffering comes from thinking happiness is outside ourselves and holding on to things being a certain way, holding on to self, holding on to ideas, holding on to things being one way. That's where the suffering comes from. So whenever it comes up, there's an opportunity to see through that, to say, whether I'm a doctor, in the position of a doctor, you can be happy or you can be sad. As an artist, you can be happy or you can be sad. So it's not being a doctor that brings happiness. It's not being an artist which brings happiness. It's me. It's what's in my mind. So whether I think that being a doctor is like something to do, or being an artist is something to do, no matter what, I have a way to work with my mind. I have a way to find happiness. So yeah, suffering is the opposite. Yeah.
And well, I detect relax is a good point to start with. And what do you recommend for people that can meditate every day in a scale, I don't know, 20 minutes per day?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think self-reflection is maybe the best place to start. And self-reflection has to have some focus. There has to be some developing. So not always being in the same spot, but kind of developing focus and developing self-reflection in an ongoing sense. And that's what meditation is for. Meditation is taking some time to develop. And most meditations, like an hour sitting and or like 2 hours, 3 hours. But if you don't have all that time, learn how to develop focus in small times. So like 30 seconds. Taking maybe like 21 deep breaths. And really focusing on the breathing. Like whatever comes up, let it come up. If feelings come up, let them come up. If thoughts come up, let them come up and let them go. Don't hold on. Just keep focus on the breathing. This is a shamatha practice, and you can do it in however long you want to breathe. I hope you don't stop breathing, but you can focus on the breathing. And 21 breaths, it's a good amount of time to focus, and that's like, if you do it slowly, it's like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and taking that time to look inside. Take 21 breaths to focus, and maybe take another 21 breaths to kind of look and see how you feel. If you notice that you're angry or you're upset, then to stop and say, okay, I see that I'm angry. Let me just take a moment to be here, to just be here with it. Don't push it away. Don't try to be somewhere else. Just be here. Be breathing right here, because breathing is natural. Breathing is something we have to do all the time. Don't stop. So that's a good small meditation practice. That's a good way to develop focus, to develop self-reflection, and to develop awareness of the mind. And the more awareness we develop, the the more choice we have to work with our mind, to work with what's inside, so that we're not holding on to outside things, because we'll have more knowledge of what's inside.
I'm taking notes. That's why.
Yes, this is a very simple practice. It's in Buddhism. I think it's also in Hinduism. I think it's in a lot of traditions. In Buddhism, it's called shamatha, and it's just the developing focus with the breath. And you know, all practices start with this, like the Vipassana practice, and Tonglen practice. It all starts from developing focus at first. So it's a good start.
And I will tell you that, well, in 2013, just yesterday, I wrote a post about it. There was one teacher that told me, well, as you said, shamatha is the meditation of tranquility. And one teacher told me, okay, Natalia, your homework is to go in the nearest part of your house and stay 20 minutes every day, but not keeping a book, because I always go to some place with a book, not listening to music, no mobile phone, nothing, just you and contemplation. I thought, oh my God, it's easy. But then I went to the part. It was so uncomfortable to be with myself, with all my mind, thinking, oh, maybe I should, what I'm doing here, okay, no, I should continue contemplating. And then, no, what I have to do today is blah, 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 going to, oh, no, come back to my mind. Then, oh, but for what I'm doing this, and that going away, coming back, and so uncomfortable. I think first time I did was like probably 3 minutes and then go away. And with the time I understood that probably we are busy because of a reason, because it's intentional in some way, because we are uncomfortable with being quiet and being with all the thoughts in our mind. And that's what meditation does, to show us clearly everything that is on our mind.
Yeah. When we do things outside, being busy, we're investing our time and we're investing our concentration to get something out of being busy, to get something out of the world, to get something out of like jobs or fun or activities. So we invest time, we invest concentration. But if we don't find happiness outside, we are somewhat investing in something that doesn't work. So if we take some time, however long, to invest in what's going on inside, where the happiness comes from, then maybe we'll get more out of it. If it's uncomfortable, it's just because we're not used to it. We spend so much of our time investing somewhere else, and it's a little scary to invest inside. Like, what's going on in here? It's unusual, but it's it shouldn't be unusual. We should know about ourselves a little bit.
We shouldn't, but I am not sure if we are, like at the beginning probably we're looking at that with some sense of, oh, what's this? Weird, like everything is weird. Am I all these things, all these feelings, all this emotion? That's what I felt. Am I all these emotions of anger, jealousy, envy, self-centeredness, all the things, and then I started going crazy, of course, and then I started, I'm not that. And it's important, those questions, why to not invest time inside of me, and one of the things all the people, the Buddhist monks, nuns, and the buddhadharma has taught me was that even if uncomfortable, you have to keep doing.
Yeah.
And so because, well, in this feeling, I feel that I'm a kind of traditional person, and so I'm not having results. So I don't care. It's not useful for me because I'm not having any result. It's not for me, from someone else. So I quit. But the good thing is that in Buddhism, it's okay, you're uncomfortable with that, just keep doing, keep sitting, keep meditating. And it's like, what are you talking about? Because in my mind, is I do something to have a result towards an objective. But here is a little bit different. Here is like, okay, just keep doing and relax.
Yeah, I mean, the more that comes up, the more difficult it seems, the more you're learning of something about yourself. So even not doing is doing, and not succeeding is succeeding. And,
It's
and,
beautiful.
and what are you going to do? Are you going to not work with your mind? you have to work with your mind. It's always there. So
Yeah, but
just how focused, that's meditation.
yeah, and that's why maybe, well, I tried today with, I don't know, mindfulness, and then I don't have any results. So I try with yoga, chanting yoga, and then no, I have no results. So I try with Bikram yoga. And that's kind of, as Choyan Trungpa Rinpoche told, it's, spiritualism that is
Spiritual materialism.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I started this conversation with, I'm not having results in this, so I start looking for something else, and then for happiness. Maybe it's a good intention, but at the end, I get lost in that search of happiness.
What kind of results are you looking for?
Being happy.
Okay. Yeah. I think that mindfulness and yoga are good first steps to develop focus, but I think the real happiness comes when you let go of the attachment to self. And when you can really let go of that, then there's more freedom, then there's more happiness, and not being caught up. Because even with mindfulness, if mindfulness is just kind of being aware, then you're just aware of how unhappy you are. So, there has to be some letting go of attachment to self. Like with compassion, to think of someone else, that's a way of letting go of your own attachment. So thinking of someone else, thinking of other people. So that's why compassion is one of the paths to happiness. Kindness is one of the paths to happiness. Because it's not like you have to be hard on yourself. You have to say, like, I don't matter at all. It's just letting go of the attachment to self.
And in some way, that's the path of the warrior.
And I think the path of the warrior, the internal warrior, is it's not a war with someone else. It's a war with the ego, a war with the attachment. And that's much more courageous, I think. People hurt other people out of fear, out of aggression. They hurt other people for many different reasons, but they don't hurt. It's very rare that someone hurts someone else out of courage. To confront your own mind, that takes courage. To work with the ego, that takes courage. So I think that's the courageous path of the warrior. Not saying that there aren't courageous warriors who are out there, protecting people, but just fighting is not necessarily courageous. Sometimes it comes from fear. To work with your own mind, to work with your own internal battle, that has to take courage.
Wow, that's beautiful, that message. Especially, that in South America, we have been struggling with the feminism
Mm.
a huge feminism movement now,
Mm.
more in Chile than Peru. And sometimes I see everything, and I'm so part of me is like, okay, let's, like that force, feminist force is valid, and it should be present in society, and the voice should be spoken louder, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really valid. But other part of me is like, well, um, what you told, that sometimes the silent fights are not known by anybody. It's just
Mm.
silent, not not advertised in any place, but
Mm-hmm.
it's dealing with yourself, with your ego, with all the
Yeah.
conceptions you have. And I think these are the great movements in change, in society, especially working with our own minds.
Mm. I think if you're challenged by something, and you need to stand up for yourself and for like women and women's rights and stuff like that. I mean, that's a good thing to stand up for and to fight for. But if there isn't this kind of internal understanding and some confidence that comes out of that, confidence that comes out of the inner warrior, then even if you get what you want, you don't really win. I don't think. In history, it seems this way, where someone fights and they get what they want, but because of their own internal struggle, they don't really win, and things keep being difficult. And so there has to, I mean, I think there has to be both a little bit. You have to work hard and do things outside to make the right conditions. But if you ignore the internal part, then you're just seeking happiness outside again. So meditation is not some way of avoiding the world. I think it's a way of bringing the internal awareness to our life. So I say that because I know so many people like work really hard to make the world a better place and to make life better for other people, and that's an amazing thing. And I don't want to say that's just outer stuff and everything's inside, but there's a big part of it which is inside, which I feel has to come out for there to be that achievement of happiness and peace. Because I don't think we'll ever ignore the outside totally and only think of like look inside. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's common to look only outside and not think of inside. So that's why I emphasize this.
Yeah, and I think that's the precious things in Buddhism is the middle way, and the middle way is like, for your middle way probably is different from my middle way, because in the past I thought, yeah, the same as you told, like, but if I'm looking into myself, inside of me, how can I use this force and all this uh, thirst inside of me to move towards something better for the world? For instance, like vegetarianism or vegan, or real vegan, the environmentalists. From what point of me I'm doing this, with which what attitude is in me,
Yeah.
separating, or I don't know. It's complex, and I don't know really.
Well, yeah, I think it's that the attitude. The attitude makes a big difference in how we do outside things. Attitude makes a big difference. And so whatever you're doing inside, it translates into the outside. through attitude, through intention, through small, subtle ways, but can have big effects.
And with these movements, I normally see, like, I don't know, documentaries about diet. And you're not environmentalist if you're not vegan. And I said, it's like, I really appreciate to change the world into a better place, but is that creating more separation between humans that are the more precious creature because we have awareness in world, or we are getting, you know, or maybe it's from another position that getting together with compassion from a vegan that is towards a person that is not vegan and just inviting him, or just appreciating what you are, and that's fine. I don't know.
If I feel forced to be a vegan because I'm bad for eating meat, I'm not going to be happy. If I become a vegan because I see that there are benefits and I want to benefit, and I don't feel bad about eating meat in the past, but I feel that it would be better to not eat meat and stuff in the future, then I think I'll be happier being a vegan.
Yeah. Well, I think that Buddhism and all your teachings as well contributes to a better world and to a more compassionate world. Not only, for me, it's really um, lovely, like, to hear that there is a possibility to see to see others, and accepting who you are, um, without asking to change anything, and just enjoy who you are, what you are, and when you have to go, you have to go, and and I really appreciate the buddhadharma in that sense, and I really appreciate as well your presence here, Jampal. I don't know, I would like to ask you just a little final question. What do you recommend to younger generations like us, like 30s? We are like in the search of everything, in the search of happiness, as I told you. What do you recommend?
Well, I recommend that we all come from different places, I think, and whatever we choose to do, it should be something which connects personally. I think that a spiritual internal awareness is very, very important for anyone who is hoping to grow up in this world and to exist in a sane way in this world, in a good way in this world. But to not be vague about it, to always be asking questions, to always be aware of how this connects to me, how this connects to this world. Like, is it true? Is it really? Is it vague, or am I very clear about this? To always be looking inside, to always have that self-reflection, and to say, I'm exploring. I'm an adventurer in this way. I'm developing the confidence. I'm developing the courage to be that spiritual warrior. And so the self-confidence comes from the self-reflection and really seeing, is this true for me? Is this true for others? Is it just something I hear? Is it something I see? Is it vague, or is it clear? So I think that for younger people who have that awareness, it doesn't matter what you do. There will be a way to be happy. There will be a way to benefit other people. There will be some way of connecting with your life, but also with freedom. So that's something I try to live my whole life with that attitude. And my younger friends and kids that I work with, I tell them this, and my friends who I've grown up with, we talk about this a lot. So I think that this is good advice.
Thank you so much. I think that my concept in the past about self-confidence was completely different what you talk about now. Because for me, self-confidence in the past was more based in this is me and I want to be this all my life because I'm more powerful than others. I don't know. For me, what's the misconception of of self-confidence, but in some way I understand that the more self-confident I am, the more flexible I am, the more selflessness I feel, and it's beautiful. Thank you for your message. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gracias a todos los que están por ahí y gracias por su tiempo. Espero que esto sea de utilidad.
Gracias. Adiós.